Welcome back. So Chelsea celebrating a big 3 points at home to Tottenham at Stamford Bridge. It means they're into the top four and very much keeps their Champions League hopes alive. Did they do just about enough then for you, Glenn, to warrant the 3 points?
Oh yes, tonight, yeah. On that performance over the 90 minutes plus, it was a lot of plus.
12
they did enough. They did enough. You know, they were the dangerous team. They're the ones that created a lot in the first half. And then what the manager did, let's put three at the back. Let's put the big guys in because they thought Spurs might launch a few balls in there. Didn't actually do as much as I thought they should have done, right at the death there. But they dealt with everything that Spurs, threw at them. And it was only one chance really, right at the very end when Johnson got on the outside, crosses it through that 6-yard box where Son might have scored and Sanchez made a recovery save. Other than that, you can't really say that Spurs created any really other good chance. They really didn't. Chelsea were in control of that game most of the game. Yeah.
Half chance from Mickey van der Ven, wasn't it? A little scrappy thing in the penalty area where he hits it into the ground. I agree with Glenn. I thought there was one team in control and that was Chelsea. And they deserved to win the game.
What it does do is it continues his stranglehold over Spurs, which is simply incredible at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, you got to forget that now. You can't worry about that. Like we talked at the top of the show, there's one game at a time. It's the Frankfurt game. It's next Thursday. Where they're going to get the confidence? I'll tell you where they're going to get confidence when they play at home to Southampton. That's where they get the confidence. If they was to lose that game, it's a different kettle of fish, but it's unthinkable. Unthinkable they can go into that with all their players back to fitness now, apart from Kulusevski, for them to lose at home to Southampton on the eve of a massive European tie, which they have to win.
Yeah, I think he'll rest a few of them players for Thursday, for Frankfurt, definitely. Van der Ven, he brought him off pretty right at the end there. Didn't want to take any risks with him.
No, because it has backfired before.
Yeah, of course. So he needs to get his number one team, his strongest team out there for the Thursday. Yeah. And let's face it, the squad that they've got, they should be able to go out against Southampton, who are virtually down, playing at home. You should get through that tie, that game and win the game.
Well, we'll talk more, I suppose, mid-term in terms of Spurs and Ange Postecoglou, where it leaves him between now and the end of the season. But took Chelsea, 4 minutes of the second half, Glenn, to get the match-winning goal, Enzo Fernandez. How did he find the space to make this header count?
Well, what it was, he goes into the penalty area and he's waiting for the ball to go out. He goes out and then he drifts. He just drifts on the blind side of Van der Ven. He hasn't had to make an acute look. We're watching here. We circle him. Look, Van der Ven's there. Romero's got Jackson there, and it just makes a subtle little the blind side. And if you don't open your body up there as a defender, you don't see him. Van der Ven, for whatever reason, has gone across to Romero's guy.
And Jackson.
He's gone to Jackson, where he was lined up nicely to be there, and he would have headed that away if he does his job well. And at the end of the day, it's a decent finish, but it was an easy finish for him.
He's got a real problem, Glenn, hasn't he, Mickey van der Ven? As soon as he can see, Enzo can see his number, you've got a serious problem. He's drifted behind him, cannot see him. And it's a fantastic header. He drifted into the box time and time again tonight. He's a better number 8. He's not a 6. They've got Caicedo to do that job.
Yeah.
He puts the shift in. He gets back, he gets up, and he's a goal threat. I think he's fulfilling his potential. I know he's won things. I think he's a major player for them in the future, but they have to build around him.
What did you make of the Spurs defenders and their body language at the point that ball goes over?
Well, I thought all night. I sing the praises of Mickey van der Ven all of the time. I think in straight lines, when the ball's in behind him, he recovers. I think he's very good. He's dynamic the way he recovers. I think he can still improve. He's still developing. I think from crosses, he's not the best, and it showed it there tonight. It's highlighted that, but you need to keep developing. Just because they're in the first team doesn't matter. You need to keep showing them. Keep showing the positives, showing the negatives, and they've got to take it on board. And at the moment, I think Mickey van der Ven can improve in them situations. I think it's only him. He has to hold his hands up there, and so it's drifted off the back of him.
His problem is, like any defender, Tim, is that he's looked to the ball. I used to say to defenders, when it's acute to you, when the ball's in front there, that's one thing. You can see the attack. Once it goes acute and there's a cross coming in, if you look at that ball more than 2 seconds without having a look, readjusting over your shoulder, looking, we talk about midfield players, good midfield players, knowing the picture, looking over your shoulder, having your wing mirrors on. It's the same for defenders, to actually open your shoulder up, have a little glance. Where's he gone? Has he pulled off me? Have I got him? No, he's looked at the ball and he's looked at the ball and he's looked at the ball. Yeah. He hasn't got a clue where the attacker is.
Is it rustiness?
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, there was a few of them in there who have not played a lot, but you could say the same for Chelsea as well. They had a few players in there. I mean, he's lasted 74 minutes or whatever, Nicholas Jackson, maybe even longer. Cole Palmer stays in there. I think you can't take away from the quality of the cross as well. He just lends it in there with his left foot, doesn't he? Doesn't just whip it aimlessly across. He knows exactly where Enzo's going to end up, and he puts it on the spot, and it's a good header.
In the end, how much better did Chelsea look for having Jackson and Palmer back in the lineup?
Yeah, improved them. Well, you've got a vocal point up front, haven't you? You know, someone who occupies defenders and creates space for others. I think he looked a real threat from the first minute, you know, when he goes in behind them. And he scares them to death with that. Automatically, they step back another 5 or 10 yards and it leaves the space for Enzo.
It was a minute in and he hit the post, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he is a real threat. I mean, he's hit and missed the boy. You know, you don't know what you're going to get. He's a bag of rebels, but in the end, I think he knows what he's doing. Yeah. He knows he's a nuisance, and that's what he is. Yeah. He's an absolute nuisance, and I mean that it's a big positive, and that's a compliment from me. I would love to have him in my team, you know, because he can be hit and miss with the finishing. Sometimes he needs to slow himself down in front of goal, but he's a real threat behind.
That's a bag of chocolates, if in case anybody doesn't know what they are, but others are available.
We showed the clips before the game of what they've been missing. Neto weren't going to do that run when he was playing.
No.
He was wanting to come towards the ball. Suddenly, within first minute, we've showed them clips, he's going on the back of the defence, and as Tim says, now you're stretching the pitch. You've got a number 10 in there, a proper number 10, as in Cole, who's now going to create a lot more space for him to go and play and hurt you. Whereas Neto would be coming towards the ball and crowding that out, and then it's the number 10 that's got to go in behind. If that's the case, that's not Chelsea. He gave them that little threat in behind, and any defender will tell you that's what they don't want. They don't want that player coming towards the ball and spinning and getting in behind. That's a nightmare for them.
I did mention how maybe Van der Ven might have been rusty with the decision making for that header, but considering that Jackson was out for 2 months, I mean, there was no sign of that whatsoever.
No, he looked as sharp as anything. Yeah. Actually, I've got to say, he wanted to go in behind. He didn't look really fatigued, where you're thinking, oh, you better drag him off. He protected him. But no, he looked really sharp. Sometimes that happens, you know. Your first one or two, you feel sharp. It's about the third one that you might hit the rail, you know, and the buffers a little bit. But, you know, that's what I'm only talking from my experience. You know, the first one or two,
I agree.
If
you've
been out a while, is okay. You get through that. But it's the third one.
And they're playing no reserve games these days.
No, that's right. Yeah.
You know, they just get themselves up. The heart monitors are on. The sports scientists say, yes, Gaffer, he's ready to go. Yeah. They know their bodies more than anyone. The manager has to trust him. He's asked him. He's obviously trusted him to play 90 if he wanted to do that. I thought he played very well tonight. I really do.
Yeah. And he certainly signalled his intent so early in the game. Yeah. And I suppose Spurs centre-backs knew they were in for a match-up from that moment on.
It's exactly what you want. Just send a message out.
Yeah, exactly.
That, you know, you can try and squeeze us if you want. We know Tottenham like to put the press on. And if the Sanchez gets it out of his feet and hits it long, he goes over the top. It's that we can play both ways. If you want to go short, we'll do that. We'll go over the top as well. We've got Jackson who's going to threaten him behind. I thought he was excellent.
Chelsea won at Tottenham 0. Well, the Blues are back after the international break to win 1-0 at Stamford Bridge and go back to the top 4 in the Premier League table. 4th at the moment, a point ahead of Manchester United, 2 points ahead of Newcastle, who have a game in hand. Well, it's been a turbulent period for Chelsea in the last couple of months, falling from 2nd position to 4th, to 5th, 6th, and then back to 4th. Right now, they will be hoping to consolidate their position in the table and keep it till the end of the season, because they have 8 important games to end the season in the Premier League. So this is now or never. This is not a time to play like kids, or the time to play inconsistently. You give everything. It's like every game is a final at the moment. But I kind of like, you know, how they looked at this in this game tonight. Very solid at the back, gave little to Tottenham, who are one of the most entertaining teams in the Premier League, and also one of the most free-scoring teams in the Premier League. They are not easy to keep quiet. They can leak goals, but they are not easy to keep quiet. Well, talking about Tottenham leaking goals, they had Romero back, and then Van der Ven back as well. So they had a solid base tonight, and it made the game a lot more difficult for both teams. Chelsea had Jackson, Palmer, and Madueke back from injuries, but Madueke didn't start, so they had Palmer and Jackson back, and both of them actually contributed a lot, to how they played tonight. But at the back, I have to give it up for Trevor Chalobah. He was very, very, very impressive, defended on the front foot. I mean, aggressively and all whatnot, but by and large, he was really, really good tonight. He played extremely well tonight. But the man of the match for me, Moises Caicedo, once again, he stands tall. What a player this guy is. And he's doing this as a number 6. I actually don't think he's a number 6. I think he's a box-to-box, yeah. And if he's doing this as a number 6, imagine what he can do as a box-to-box. When Chelsea have a solid number 6 that will be stable and available every game, unlike Lavia, who comes in and goes out at will. Well, the sky is this guy's limit. He's absolutely amazing. He's absolutely unplayable at times. Tonight he was unplayable again. He was on top of his game, winning tackles, recovering balls, being in the right places, making forward passes, scoring a goal that was disallowed for offside. He had everything. He played his ass out. But this is him. This is how he plays every game. He plays every game like the last game of his life. He goes into every tackle with everything in his soul. So he's that kind of player, and it has been amazing, to watch him develop in the last couple of months. In fact, this started from towards the end of last season, going into this season, and he has been going from strength to strength. He's been amazing, honestly speaking. I'm not trying to blow his trumpet a lot more, but that's what it is. He's been absolutely wonderful. To me, if you ask me, Chelsea's a player of the season today, I would tell you Moises Caicedo straight up, even if I just wake up from sleep. So that's good. That's how good he has been this season. And Chelsea are so lucky to have him. He's always available. He's one guy that doesn't really get injured, a lot. Considering how he plays, you think that he should be getting injured a lot, but he doesn't. He's always available there to help his teammates. So one of the best players on the pitch today. Personally, in my opinion, the best player on the pitch today, and helped Chelsea to win the game 1-0. Good day for the Blues, who will be hoping to make it 2 wins out of 2 after the international break when they take on Brentford on Sunday.